Good afternoon. The Recruiting Corner. Preston Jackson. We're right here ready to rock and roll. And today we will start national. We're going wide. Big pond picture. All right. The best of the best. Now, where we're going to start is a young man who's made a tremendous jump in his 247 ranking. That's Darnell Wright. He's had Huntington High School in Huntington, West Virginia. Big old offensive tackle. Moved up 19 spots and now sitting in the number 2 spot in the 247 rankings. He's going 6'6", 290 pounds. Again, at a Huntington, West Virginia. That's Huntington High School. Let's start with this. Talking national prospects, you have to be slightly more critical because these players are regarded as better college prospects. So typically they're going to have better credentials. They're going to have more athleticism. They're going to be bigger, stronger, and faster. As much as you want to highlight how good they are, you still have to find out their weaknesses. Okay? Now remember, when you're talking rankings, anybody's ranking, any group's ranking, and the individual ranking is all subjective. Do you value the opinion of that group or that person doing the ranking? If you value the opinion, if you think the person or that group has a good opinion, they're objective, then that is one of the rankings you're going to lean on. Also, rankings are relative. They are relative to the other players involved in that ranking. So you could be the number 1 player in the class, but if the class is weak, subjectively speaking, to the people doing the rankings, then how good are you being the number 1 prospect in that class? Not to saying that this class is, not to saying that the past classes are, but it's all relative to those making up that ranking. If the foundation of that ranking that has a large base of those kids is not very strong, then at the top it can't be very strong either, because you can't stay up there being at the top if everybody else is not very good below you. So rankings are A, subjective, and then B, they are very much relative. So who's good in your class and also who's doing the ranking. With us, competition is huge. Who players are playing against on film and who players are going against in that camp circuit. Now, again, remember what I told you, we're going to talk about this kid Darnell Wright. We're going to examine his film. I'll tell you what I like about him. I'll tell you what I don't like about his film also. But what stands out to me is that 19-spot jump that he made in the 247 ranking. What that says, and without doing very much research on why that jump happened, is that more than likely he participated in some type of camp circuit versus some better players, and it really highlighted how good they thought he could be or how good he is. Because on film, the competition which I observed, they're not very good. So when they get him to a camp circuit in a situation when they can match him up against better athletes, he could have did very well, which them may say, hey, we saw more here than we saw on film. A big reason why we want kids getting in our circuits, because on film, it's very limited. Number 1, it is a highlight. Is to get you excited about what a kid is or what he can be. The other part about it, it does not show the lowlights, where their weaknesses are or where they can improve at. So when you match them up in a camp circuit, it's going to highlight their athleticism and more so their competitive nature. When kids get outside of their comfort zone, they're either going to sink or swim. They're going to rise to the occasion, they're going to rise to the level of competition, or they're going to shy away. The best players usually want that competition, and they're not worried about messing up. That's what makes great players great. They are big risk takers because they're going to get a big reward out of it. So we're going to move into Darnell Wright. What you really like about this young kid is his size, at times his nastiness. As an offensive tackle, the first thing that you want to see on film is his footwork, his length, and what kind of nastiness does he have to him. All right, before we get into his film, I wanted to show you his 247 profile, and at the same time, I'm going to play his sophomore film, which is embedded here on the 247 site. Now, as I'm talking you through this, glance back and forth at his sophomore film, okay? He's over at the left tackle position, jersey number 58. You can see he has a decent frame on him, not as thick as he is now. Okay feet, but kind of gets planted in the sand a little too much. And then this is only one game. It says his first game on right here. It says his first game highlight. So you'll see him gets the same team, and it's not crazy impressive. He does some okay stuff. The one thing that jumps out to me is his size. And if we come back to his 247 profile, you can see where they have him ranked nationally number 2. We went over that. Number 1 offensive tackle, number 1 in the state. All kinds of offers from every school you can think of. And then they got different predictions. Then they go down to the evaluation. I don't have a 247 account, so I can't read their full evaluation. Real short right here to kind of get you interested and want to get a subscription to see what their experts think about this young man. And if you have a 247 account, please, you can compare my evaluation to what they're saying and kind of make your own opinion. But I'm just going to kind of break down what I see on film. And we'll just take a few more snaps of his sophomore film right here. Left tackle. Okay drive right there. His feet and his body, you can tell he's not as strong as he is now. Kind of feeling his way through. Looks like he could be learning the position. He got a good takeoff. Now, let's go ahead and get into his more updated highlight film, which is his junior film, which looks a lot different. And you can tell he's been in the weight room. He's been eating right. And he's learned the position and learned exactly what he can do with his size. Let's go ahead and look at that junior film. We're going to get into his junior film, and you'll see that he looks 50% better. He's learned his position. He understands his size and really can play within his frame. Look how much different this junior film looks versus his sophomore year film. I'm going to let it ride a little bit. Then I'll give you my natural reactions. I see plays develop. I'm not a fan of that takedown stuff. I am a fan of that. That's the prick I'm talking about. Watch this play on defense right here. It's a nice play defensively by the young man, showing his versatility. Here we go again, another takedown. That comes across to me as being lazy with his footwork and understanding he's playing against a guy that he's twice his size. Let's run this back, and I want you to see, and I was talking about his footwork earlier. All right, watch this clip right here, and watch how dead his feet kind of get at the snap. Barely moved him. It's supposed to be aggressive pass pro, but never moved his feet at all. Again, he plays under his pads. I really like that about the young man. He uses his hands extremely well, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Now, here's one thing you do love. When you're twice the size of the guys you're playing against, let them know it. And he is. This team in the red doesn't look athletic at all. The defensive end over top of him is half of his size. He's dominating this kid. And that's one reason why you have to be kind of, when you hear rankings and kids out of area, you got to kind of look at who they're playing against. Because these kids right now that he's playing against look nothing like him at all. It looks like he's playing against a JV team. There's pockets, there's area ball around that everywhere. Even in Florida, there's some areas in Florida. We're here in Florida, so somewhat biased against our football. We think everything is great here in Florida. But there's areas in Florida that the talent level and or the classifications is just not as good as some others. And I assume this could be the same way in West Virginia, because he's playing against guys. It looks like a 3 classes below his, or just junior varsity football. Now he's starting to play really high because he can't out-muscle. Now look how he gets to the second level. That was big time. When he can't out-muscle his opponent, what does he go to next? That's concerning for me. Is that when he can't throw a guy to the ground, when he can't out-muscle him with no foot movement, what's his next order of business? And I haven't seen it yet. There he is again trying to sling somebody to the ground because he has dead footwork. Let's see him get upfield on the screen. He runs really, really well. He looks like he got a great frame on him. I like the way when he plays defense on the defensive side of the ball. When he does use his length and extension, he looks like a big-time prospect. But he does have some concerns I have not seen him build a pocket. Everything is aggressive pass protection where he's not required to move much. He hasn't had a speed rusher on top of him, which you can see him actually get moving. He hasn't been pressured at all. Again, I don't like the way the film is cut up. This is all a game-by-game film. So you don't necessarily see his best plays at the top. They're just game by game by game. I'm not a big fan of that at all. And young prospects don't do that. Put your best film up front no matter what game it is. He is, to me, right now, just watching the film, I've kind of gone through 3 game highlights. He's that player that they're going to want to get in there and create a player over the next year and a half. Not necessarily a redshirt kid, but he will need to get stronger to play at the college level. He's going to have to get more bulk to him and more lower body strength. But he's one of those players that is a project player that any offensive line coach would salivate over because they're going to be able to make a spectacular college player. Right now, is he deserving of a number 2 ranking in the whole entire class? Here we go again. I'll say it. I don't know. I haven't seen a billion players to be able to say he's the second best of all those players. But I will say that he has just as many improvements as he does strengths. If I go to his lateral movement, I can go to the lack of his lower body strength. If I highlight his extension, I can go to a lack of foot movement. If I go to his mobility, I can go to his lack of being able to pass pro in certain situations. If I go to his aggressiveness, I can go to the lack of competition that he's playing against. All right, so he's one of those players. He's not a risk player. I wouldn't categorize him as that. He is definitely one of those guys that you would want to see in a camp circuit against better competition. You want that guy, you want that kid to be one of those kids that commits to your program and you can build around. I'm not so sure he does not turn into a defensive tackle before he plays left tackle. Left tackle is a premier position. It takes extensive footwork to play over there. He looks like he's athletic enough to be that, but he's showing more flash and more ability and disruption when he plays on the defensive side of the ball. Note, that could be a reason because the competition he's playing against is not very good either. It's nothing that he's playing against puts pressure on him whatsoever, even when he's playing defense. All right, taking notes during his evaluation, this is kind of what I come up with the number 2 ranked senior prospect according to 247. His initial quicks, average. Inline blocking, great. If a guy's standing over him, he's going to maul them and demolish them. Can he get to the second level? Absolutely. Great. He's very athletic. He's got good speed for offensive alignment, and he's got good agility. His horizontal movement is really good, so he's able to mirror second-level defenders. Pass pro and pass blocking, right now I'm going to go inconclusive. I didn't see enough pass pro and complete pass blocking in various forms. Very little sprint out, very little deep pocket protection, mostly all aggressive pass pro, which you can't really give a good evaluation if that's all you're seeing on his film. Pulling and trapping, his offensive scheme then asks for their tackle to pull. So we're not going to evaluate that at all. Strength, good, and explosiveness, very good. But I'm going to conclude with this hot take. If he played defensive tackle primarily every snap, let's just say every snap, and then came in and played some offensive line to spill for the starters, he could possibly be the number 1 defensive tackle that I have seen. Okay, let's not say nationally, but he could be one of the top defensive tackles that I have seen. That's how good I think he could be on the defensive side of the ball. I think he could be a good offensive tackle. I think he could be an extremely big-time defensive tackle. So with that, we're going to leave you. Darnell Wright, think he's got a bright upside. His ceiling is high. I do agree with the 247 quick evaluation of that. Is he number 2 ranked prospect in the nation? They happen to like him a lot as he sprouted up 19 whole spots in their ranking. So we're going to leave it at just that. I gave you what I saw on film, which was my evaluation. And you saw what you did. I'm not loving the competition he played against, but I definitely think that the reason he is ranked so high or trending up so high is because it could have been something camp related and they saw him against some more athletic kids, which they said, hey, we like him even more now because he showed us what he can do against better competition. Till next time, over and out.